Hey friends, what is good? Today I'm going to have a monologue and I will involve ChatGPT in this conversation. Let's see what we can get to. You will figure it out soon. What is this about? Right. Hey ChatGPT. It's important always to be kind and polite with ChatGPT if you want us to be helped. All right. So I need some help from you. I am a client and I am looking with interest in implementing openBIM. Right now, I use BIM on my projects, but I'm not so happy with what's going on. So my first question would be, why should I even consider openBIM instead of using Revit, for example? Let's say that right now I'm getting many Revit models delivered and drawings. What do you recommend me? Let's start with this, okay? And let's see. Let me zoom in a bit so you can see this. Okay, what are the first things that are coming? Vendor locked in versus freedom of choice. Revit is a proprietary tool. You're tied into Autodesk ecosystem licensing, updates, and limitations. OpenBIM, IFC, is vendor neutral. Your data is in a format that can be read, validated, and reused across multiple platforms: Revit, ArchiCAD, Tekla, Blender BIM, even Blender BIM. Oh, that's funny. Solibri. This protects you from being locked into one tool or vendor. Interesting. So interoperability and collaboration. With Revit, exchanging models across different teams often means conversions, exports, or custom plugins, and data loss is common. With OpenBIM, you're working IFC, which is supported by nearly all major BIM platforms, BIM tools. That means an architect can use Revit, the structural engineer Tekla, and you can still align them in an open workflow without depending on a single software vendor. Wow, it's like it's reading my mind. Because that's what I've been doing, and that's what I've been witnessing on the project I worked for the past almost 3 years, where, yes, the structural engineers were using Revit, were using other tools, were using Plan 3D from Autodesk, were using Tekla structures, and yeah, it's amazing what the IFC can do. Data ownership and longevity. Interesting. Let's see what is this about. A Revit file today is only useful if you have Revit tomorrow and the right version. An IFC file will still be readable decades later, regardless of which software you use. If your projects have long cycles, infrastructure, large buildings, this is a huge advantage. Did you hear this, guys? Are you considering this? Have you thought about this? If you are working on the client side, even if you are a general contractor, but especially if you are managing buildings in operation and facility management, you should open your eyes and ears very well, right? These are things that are extremely important, right? From drawings to data-centric workflow. Oh, okay, interesting. Right now you're getting models and drawings from Revit. That workflow is still drawing-centric. Even though the model exists, with OpenBIM, the model becomes the single source of truth. You can run quality checks, quantities, clash detection, and information validation directly on the IFC without waiting for somebody to export PDF or DWGs. Isn't that interesting, guys? I think that's the reason why Norwegians are trying to avoid in the future using drawings. Cost and flexibility. Revit means recurring license costs. Interesting. Sometimes for dozens or hundreds of team members, even if they only need access for checking data. Can you believe that? Open tools like Blender BIM or BonsaiBIM nowadays, how it's called, IFC.js or Solibri are often free or cheaper, and you can mix commercial with open source. That gives you flexibility to scale access across your teams and partners. Wow, I think ChatGPT is onto something, guys. So, practical recommendation for you. Since you are already receiving Revit models, keep accepting Revit deliverables, but request that your partners also export IFC alongside. Start small with OpenBIM tools. Use Blender BIM, BonsaiBIM, or Solibri to open, validate, and review IFCs. You will quickly see where information is usable beyond just drawings. Shift focus gradually. Instead of treating Revit drawings as your final deliverable, start treating IFC as the baseline. and drawings as outputs generated from it. What a smart approach indeed. Build requirements into contracts. When possible, ask for openBIM deliverables, IFC, BCF for issues, in addition to Revit files. So in short, you don't have to throw away Revit tomorrow, but openBIM gives you control, data ownership, interoperability, and future-proofing. It changes the game from being dependent on Autodesk to being free to design your own workflows. And then, very interesting stuff, right? All right, thank you very much. This is amazing advice. Thank you. I really appreciate it. You are really, really inspiring to me right now. So let me ask you something else. What if for the time being, I don't have any BIM requirements? I still get only drawings, PDFs, and stuff like that. Is it worthwhile to even waste at least any amount of time on the proprietary approach, or should I just focus on implementing from the get-go, from the start, openBIM? And why should I do that? I want you to be really, really specific, and please do some research online and make sure that you give me the best approach and the best practices. And also, are there any other people who are doing this? Is there any other benefits? Do you see any examples of countries or people or projects or entities or clients who are doing already this and they see results? Or is this just a pipe dream? Waiting for the audio to be processed. I hope it's accurate. I will put some trust into ChatGPT. So let's see, thinking longer for a better answer. Thank you, that's good. That's exactly what I wanted. So let's see. This is extremely excited, guys. So why this is important? This is extremely important because I talk to a lot of people who are exactly in this position. Some of them are getting Revit models, some of them don't get any models. They get only drawings, and they like the idea of openBIM. And I would like to show you the proof why you should consider even more. So, love the energy, thank you. Interesting, okay. Research, backtake, plus a start this week plan. This is very interesting. This is extremely interesting. Why start with openBIM even if you only receive drawings? Future readiness. Real mandate and pipelines are moving this way. Singapore is standardized IFC submission via CoreNet IFC plus SG model with an official toolkit and code of practice describing how IFC plus SG is prepared and how non-BIM docs accompany the model. This is the direction of travel, even if some non-BIM submissions are still accepted. UK, information management is still aligned to ISO 9650 via the UK BIM framework, so clients increasingly expect structured, standardized information and not just drawings. EU, public procurement policy explicitly promotes BIM and open standards in construction. Directive 2014-24 EU, this keeps pushing owners, contractors towards open standardized exchanges, IFC, BSD. So what? If you set up openBIM now, templates, requirements, CDE structure, you won't scramble later when a tender suddenly asks for IFC, IDS, BCF, or ISO 9650. Oh, that sounds like something smart. Immediate value. Even with PDFs today, you can define information requirements aligned to ISO 9650 once and apply them to any source. That means when a partner can export IFC, your checks QA are ready on day one. Open standards, IFC, BCF, let you separate, and let me mention also IDS, because IDS is going to help you enforce the requirements to make sure that you are getting the information that you are requesting. Let you separate what we need from how the model is authored. You aren't forced to adopt a specific authoring tool just to read check data. Building Smart's openBIM guidance emphasizes vendor neutrality across the full lifecycle. Even before models arrive, you can set up an open CDE structure, naming, metadata, revisioning, capture asset registers, and prepare issue tracking with BCF. So the moment you receive a test IFC, you can run structured checks and raise issues with traceability. The UK BIM framework materials show how requirements and workflows sit above authoring tools. Proven outcomes, this is not a pipe dream. That's a very interesting. And Norway, wow, isn't that funny? Let's see what they have to say about Norway. Norway, public client, Statsbygg BIM manual explicitly requires open IFC exchanges across disciplines. They run a decade of projects this way and continue to expand lifecycle openBIM. Can you believe that, guys? Oh, this is not a pipe dream? Am I awake or am I still sleeping? Bane NOR, a railway administration of Norway, reported 40 40% time compression and over 20 million euros in savings on this specific project, Nygårdstangen Bergenflöen project, using an ISO 9650 openBIM stack, IFC, BCF, and model-centric workflow. Finland, Senate Properties, state owner with documented BIM requirements since 2008 practically, that set a national baseline for model-based delivery and client information needs. Should you spend time on proprietary workflows first? If you invest in proprietary only processes now, you'll likely redo that work when a client regulator asks for IFC or ISO 9650 compliance. Wow. Especially if you're in Europe, get ready for the shock that you're going to have pretty soon. You can still read Revit origin models, just insist IFC comes with the PDFs wherever feasible. Building Smart stresses that the goal is vendor neutral data over the whole life cycle. What good looks, best practices you can apply now. Write simple, tool agnostic information requirements. Base them on UK BIM framework ISO 9650 concepts. Define what information at what stage and what structure, not the authoring tools. Ask supply chain for a minimal open bundle, even in pilot. IFC, discipline models, PDFs for legal field. In Norway, the last 3 years I worked with IFC models also for site, okay? So it's possible, even that is possible. BCF for issues and the short model delivery plan, explaining scope. This mirrors Scandinavian UK practice and makes your QA reproducible. Validate models against requirements. Keep requirements separate from how to model, a node pitfall. Require IFC content results, not tool button presses. If Singapore is relevant, reference IFC plus SG mapping early so suppliers understand future CoreNet X expectations. Use open lifecycle, not just design. Norway's example shows openBIM adds value through construction planning and operations. Like, that's exactly what I did. So structure your CDE for handover operations data from day one. Yeah, so we have something like a 30-day start this week plan. That's interesting. Adopt a lightweight information requirements. Doc properties you need at the age, blah, blah, blah. Stand up a simple CDE folder structure with naming, version roles, pilot open exchange, pick one current project and ask the designer for a test IFC alongside PDF, no disruption, their tool, run basic checks, property presence, blah, 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 blah. They don't say anything. So bottom line, starting openBIM now is low risk and high optionality. It lets you keep coming Revit origin deliverable and gradually move toward vendor neutral, lifecycle ready data. Major owners and governments already run this way. Norway, Finland, UK, Singapore. This is very much real, not a dream. Also Dubai, for sure. It's weird that Dubai, they didn't say, ChatGPT didn't say anything about Dubai. So let me add something else. I would say here, okay, thank you very much for the very good advice. You don't mention anything about IDS, Information Delivery Specification, which is perfect to make sure that you get the requirements, you get the quality of the information that you need. You don't mention too much about model-based construction, which is happening more and more in Norway. The models created by designers are not discarded by the contractors. They are actually used on site to build the projects. And the same models are also used for handover and for facility management. So that's definitely possible. That's one aspect. So IDS and this thing. What else? If you didn't start, if you're a client, you don't even have, maybe you have a BIM coordinator or a BIM manager. It would be much cheaper. Much cheaper because you won't have to need to tie into some licenses. So the new projects could start requesting openBIM. And designers are going to manage to do that. If a lot of them are managing in Norway, I'm sure they are going to manage to do it in other countries as well. It's just they have to learn how to do it, right? But it's possible. That's the most important thing, that it's already possible, right? You don't say anything about Dubai. Dubai is also a great use case, how they started IFC submittals. And yeah, like I think that could be a good start. So like governmental clients especially, they would save a lot of money actually in spending and locking themselves. Like, it's not just that you are spending, but you are also handling data to Autodesk. It's crazy. Like, why would you even do that? Well, I will tell you why. Because most of the time, these requirements, guess what? The clients don't have BIM resources, BIM people, BIM coordinators, BIM managers, and they hire in-house BIM coordinators who are coming from consultants. And the consultants is like inviting the fox into hen's nest, into hen's place, right? Why would they want you? Like, they are going to put requirements that they are used to work with. Why should they go out of the comfort zone, right? They don't represent always your interests at best. But if you understand what data is best for you to get, then you can do something about that. Is it better to just hire somebody, a BIM resource, to work with these things instead of just paying somebody to establish the rules they themselves are going to play after? Doesn't that make any sense? Okay, so let's see what ChatGPT has to say about this as well. It's a bit longer text, so audio, I mean, and it will take a little bit of time, but we're good, right? Okay, let's see now. Now he's going to think, I think, ChatGPT. ChatGPT. That's funny. Okay, so key missing pieces you raised and why they matter. IDS. What is IDS? IDS is the building mark standard for defining information requirements in a computer interval, blah, blah, blah. Okay, why this is powerful for a client? It removes ambiguity. Extremely important. The designer or contractor sees exactly what properties, names, classifications, value ranges are permitted. Blah, 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 blah. Enable automated QA. When the IFC is delivered, you can run an IDS check and immediately see cardinality, presence, allowance, values, etc. So you can get a report if you have the information or not, right? How to adopt IDS as a client? Draft your core information requirements. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention the Europe Harmony standard. So Europe Harmony requirements conducted by Building Smart. This is extremely important because now we get even more help, a guideline for which requirements should be requested by anyone. So this becomes European, at European level, but it's not stopping there. Even if you are from another place, you can still use them, right? It's called EU because that's the countries at the initiative, but it shouldn't stop there, right? So translate the critical ones, the very important requirements that you cannot live without. So for the success of your project, we can live without any, of course. Iterate the ideas as learn, of course, improve it and so on. Use open tools, validate the engines. There are free tools, many free tools. If you want to be more effective, there are also paid ones. Why I didn't mention here? Because, come on, cut that. Because I've been using it already for over 2 years, and it's an amazing tool. Model-based construction, using design models on site and using them downstream. You are spot on in many advanced projects. Not advanced projects, come on. All infrastructure projects in Norway have these requirements, and everyone, including contractors and designers have to deliver, and contractors they have to use this, right? They have to use this. Otherwise, I heard about some exceptions where they are using a lot of resources to produce drawings just because their teams are not used with these workflows. I will refrain from adding anything else here, but I would focus on upskilling the people and see how they can use the models, because we have the tools. They're not the best tools, but they are, and they are going to come more. So yeah, it's possible. Norway is a real exemplar. The approach you described is actively practiced in Norway and in parts of Scandinavia. For example, Viking Age Museum Extension Oslo is used design. The same in my tunnel project. This is documented, open life cycle case studies. It's cool that I think also this project is built by AF Group and the company I worked in. So proud of that as well. Why it's feasible? When the model is delivered with sufficient detail, classification, property, spatial relationship, and reference, it becomes a true single source of truth. That's exactly, I stopped there for downstream users, contractors, fabricators, site teams, operations. It's so simple. Tools in the field, mobile, tablets are increasingly capable of viewing and interacting with IFC or deriving lightweight formats on site. Prefab modular construction thrives when the digital model is real and precise. The implication for a client: if you demand buildable project model from start, you reduce rework, change orders, clashes, and site waste. The cost of model cleanup and validation becomes your upstream control point. The handover model is more usable to your operations maintenance teams, not just as an as-built PDF plus asset register. Cool. The role of the client, you in hiring, you nailed something critical. The client should own the data strategy, not the consultant, which is, I've seen this in so many situations. If you rely purely on consultants or a BIM coordinator from a consultant, you risk them prescribing a process that favors their tool comfort zone, will only work with Revit, with these plugins, blah, blah, blah. Having your own BIM resources, a BIM manager, coordinator, or site is a strong control to ensure that your interests, data usability, open standards, lifecycle handover remain protected. The role doesn't need to be expensive at start. A skilled part-time or a contract BIM person can help define ER, IDS, review IFC, oversee QA, and gradually raise capability in your supply chain. So yes, absolutely makes sense to hire BIM resources. Case in Dubai, Middle East, and IFC mandates. You asked about Dubai, good news. There is movement there. According to Rebim article from 1st January, Dubai mandating, blah, blah. This is a real use case. I've been talking to people who work there and it works. It works. They are encountering challenges, but it's happening. So this, actually they have made so much progress in only a few years. So yes, it's possible to be emulated by other places as well. The full stack client-led openBIM plus IDS model-based construction playbook. Let me propose an improved, richer, more robust approach that integrates your points. Vision, project begins with clear tool agnostic, ER and IDS. Designers, consultant, supply models that meet those requirements. IFC plus IDS validation. Contemporary models are used downstream. Construction site prefabrication, of course, which is happening in Norway. This is not stories. This is not utopia. Handover is meaningful. The model continues to be used by facility teams. You control the data and evolution, not the vendors. Exactly. So you have more here, roadmap, blah, blah, blah. So yes, IDS is critical. Let's see, let's see. I think this could be an amazing resource. And in Norway, it's also developed a further one based on the same requirements, just that with some specifications, I think, for Norway. So yeah, let's see what is openBIM Harmony. It's a set of guidelines, requirements, specification, and templates developed by European Building Smart chapters under the European openBIM Forum, okay? So it's quite new, like from March 2025. Its purpose is not to be a rigid standard you drop in a wholesale, but rather a harmonized common reference framework that national chapters can adapt to their local regulations, practices, and BIM maturity. So you don't have to wait, like you can just copy this. This is open for everyone. I'm going to make a video about this. So tell me, leave me a comment if you would be interested in this. I would love to hear your thoughts. Lower the risk threshold for smaller firms adopting openBIM. Harmonize how appointing parties, clients, owners specify information requirements so there's more consistency across Europe. Again, this is specifically because it uses Europe. The people I've been talking to about this, they say it shouldn't be limiting to Europe. This can be adopted in other places as well, and people can even join this task force, working task force. Harmonize how appointed party, blah, 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 designers deliver those requirements. Provide ready-to-use documents, ER templates, BIM execution plans, guidance for TCD, and so on. Amazing, right? So you don't have to reinvent the wheel. This is extremely important. So even for companies and clients with few resources, you can do so much just by using what has been proven. And these countries, this continent, and yeah, these examples have invested a lot of millions of euros, of dollars to learn this thing. So you don't have to go through the same mistakes. You can just skip all that. It is built to recognize blah, blah, blah. Why resource reduces ambiguity, how to spec burden, alignment with ISO 9650 and European practice, support for smaller actors, foster consistency and interoperability, modular, adaptable. A stepping stone towards more advanced practices. How could you use? Adopt a Harmony adopted baseline, download the Harmony documents. Like I said, let me know if you'd like to go through all these things. Use Harmony templates as your foundation. Use their ER template for your project, BEP template. Overlay your ideas, validation rules. Harmony gives the structure of what you to require. You can layer your ideas or adapted ideas underneath for each requirement in your adapted Harmony ER. Map it to a rule in IDS if you like. Of course, this makes perfect sense to me. Iterate over model use and handover. Engage your supply chain with Harmony, feedback, and maturity growth. Things to watch: local regulatory compliance, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I'll stop here. Verdict recommendation: your openBIM Harmony is a brilliant resource. It gives you a structured, harmonized, a widely recognized starting point that aligns with ISO and European practice without forcing you to invent everything yourself. For your scenario, use Harmony as a reference framework scaffold for your ERBP CDE design, adapted to your own country, regulatory context, Singapore or wherever you operate. Overlay your own ideas, validation rules on top. Use it as a communication vehicle with your supply chain so that everyone speaks the same language. If you like, I can fetch. No, it's okay. Thank you very much, ChatGPT, for the chat. You've been amazing. I really appreciate all the advice you gave me so far. Most of these are echoes of the things that I'm promoting and I know and I've been working with the last years, right? So if you are somebody who wants to go from dreams, from utopia, from thoughts, from from rumors, to somebody who can use these things and practice and get practical IFC and openBIM experience, go to BIMvoice.com. That's your starting place. You start here, watch this video, go to school, join the BIMvoice Academy, and let's get you started to implement real openBIM. Even if you can't implement it, this is an amazing time in these difficult times where many BIM resources are removed from organizations. It's an amazing skill to add to your stack to become the person who has the extra thing that's going to survive in the next layoff when it's going to happen. So don't waste, don't postpone, invest in yourself because it's the best thing you can ever do. And if you're ready, I'm ready to help you and to guide you and to grow together on this journey. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you up in the next one. Bye.